So the way Ikebana started out, and Ikebana means to do flowers. And it started in the Buddhist temple. So the priest would make arrangements to honor Buddha, and they started out being 18 feet high. They would dig trees and cut them down and bring them and put them on the altar. And then it scaled down through the years. And in traditional Japanese homes, they have a tokonoma, which is a niche. When you come inside the entry to the house, there's this niche there, and when people would have guests over, they would make a flower arrangement to honor their guest. And what they would do is they come in the house, take their shoes off, and the first thing they would do is kneel down in front of the flower arrangement and admire it before they went and got a glass of wine or anything. So we have three main stems in the traditional arrangements. We have Shin, Soy, and Tai, which represents heaven, man, and earth. And so I'm making a right-handed arrangement. So I'm going to imagine the sun is over my left shoulder. And this is Iliagnus. This is a shrub that most people can't stand. They want it out of the yard. But it is great to use for Ikebana because it has a nice curve to it. You can curve it and bend it. And so in Western style arrangement, usually flowers face you. Like this, everything's going to look at you. In Japanese style, they're facing each other and like talking to each other and looking up at the sun and looking more natural, like the way they grow. So my main stem is Shin, which is heaven. And this is heaven. It's looking up. It's not looking at you. It's looking up, admiring the sun. And it's going to curve a little bit and then come back over the center. And I have to keep this for at least 3 to 4 inches above the top of the container. It's all going to look like one stem, which is called a mizugiwa, which is a tree trunk. Now I'm doing Soy, which is man, and I'm going to put him behind Shin. So see how it looks up and admires Shin. Soy admires Shin. Now here's the fun thing with this arrangement. This one, Neshime, means this is yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So I'm using these anemones, and I have 3 stems. When I turn it around, I'll show you. Cut that one a little bit. So that's it. And you see it looks like one stem from the front. That's the mizugiwa. Now the interesting thing with this is these represent yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So yesterday is the open anemone. Tomorrow is the bud that's up here, and today is the one that's halfway open there.
Interesting.
Yeah. Isn't that sweet? It's so peaceful to look at.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. If you were studying Ikenobo in Japan, traditionally, they've changed the rules a little now, you would work with aspidistra for a year before they would let you move on to work with other flowers. So this has the same principles as that. And you'll notice this is aspidistra or cast iron plant. You'll notice there's a spine down the center of the leaf. And it's wider on one side than it is on the other, and they're different. So my Shin has to be wide to the right of the spine. So I had to go through like 50 leaves to find these 3 that are doing the right thing. Yeah. So just like in this arrangement, Shin goes in the center, and it looks up at the sun. So see, it's not facing you. It's facing the sun. Now Soy is wide to the left. And it's going back here and look up at Shin.
Now those 2 leaves are on the same plant?
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
And here's Tai, which is earth, and it's wide to the right. So everything going in front of Shin has to be wide to the right. Everything to the back of Shin has to be wide to the left. Okay, then, so that's the traditional like what they did 500 years ago. Then, in the 1800s, Japan was closed off from the world. Nobody was allowed to come to Japan from anywhere else. And then in the 1800s, there was the Meiji era, and that emperor opened Japan up, and that's when they had the samurai back then. They opened Japan up, and Westerners came in, and then they would have some Western furniture, like coffee tables and dining tables. So this would be an arrangement like you could put on a low table. So here's Shin, my tallest, heaviest stem. Here's Soy, and here's Tai, and it creates a triangle. So if you dropped a scarf down over this, it would be a scaling triangle. So that's about the only rule you have with this one. Then this is supposed to represent water, like you're by the pond. So I thought it'd be pretty to have, here's the quince tree, and here's the calla lily plant growing by the pond. And this is from a plant in the shop that I cut calla lilies off. And then quince are blooming. I got these from my flower supplier, but they just finished blooming here in Atlanta. So we are encouraged to use found materials so that way it's seasonal when we make these arrangements. It's things you would have that are growing right now. This is what they did for tea ceremony. Have y'all heard of tea ceremony? And you were supposed to have something very simple that represented what was growing outside, but you would take it down to the essence of just a few flowers. And it's supposed to be where you're humble and more humility when you would go into the tea house. So I went and picked this out in front of the shop, and this is Swedish ivy that came off a hanging basket out in front of the shop here. And then I had, this is geranium off a plant in front of the shop. I just love that color. So this is supposed to be a real simple arrangement, nothing flashy. But isn't that pretty? Oh, it's very pretty. So there's that one. Okay. So this arrangement is going to Nobu restaurant later today. But this is called Nagiera, which means throwing flowers in. Now, Moribana meant piling flowers up. Nagiera means throwing flowers in. So when the samurai were going into battle, they were supposed to make a flower arrangement and write a poem. And they would have made an arrangement in a container like this that's more tall and narrow, or a jar. And this is a piece of curly willow. We use this all the time in arrangements. And I have a monstera leaf back here. These are aspidistra leaves, but they were too big. I didn't want them overtaking that beautiful orchid. So I just curled it around and wired it. So it makes it shorter, and it's just a loop. It makes it more interesting. And then this is a cymbidium orchid, and we sell these in the shop. These last cut, it's a cut flower, and they'll last for up to a month in a vase. And we have smaller versions too. So these are great. It's a good value when you get those.
So are those orchids sitting in water in there? Or? Okay.
So these are Menton peach French tulips. These came from France yesterday. They flew in.
Wow.
Aren't they gorgeous? When they open up, they'll be this big. Now here's an interesting thing about tulips. When people get this and they think it's wilted because it's bent over. Actually, this head is so heavy. But tulips move, they continue to grow, and we talked about this in flower class last month. Bulb plants like hyacinths, tulips, daffodils, they'll continue to grow even when they're cut. They'll keep growing. This will continue to grow, and they'll follow the sun. So if the sun's over here in the morning, they're looking that way. If it's over here in the afternoon and they have a window, they're going that way by the afternoon. I have some at home on a table, and when I come home, they're going different directions. So they're not wilted. Arrangements that are they go to one direction, or they're like a spiral where the breeze blew it, instead of like Western arrangements where it's more like a triangle or a fan that looks at you. These are going off in a more natural way. So instead of doing it, Westerners would have done it that way. We're going to do it this way. Okay, we'll go in the same direction. And I just have some curly willow. We'll kind of go that direction too. Okay, so there's that one. Isn't that gorgeous?
Base helps a lot.
Yeah. Now this arrangement is going to be in the movies. Part of the plot line is the character is an Ikebana enthusiast. So Ikebana is a big part of this movie. So I had to make, they've already picked up 8 different Ikebana arrangements, and they're going to pick up, I think, 8 more, and they'll be throughout the film. But you'll notice this bowl, it has, when you can come up and see it, it has gold painted on the back, and then it has this lip. This is a common motif where they push a side of the bowl in, and it creates this little lip. So that's the front of the bowl where you would view the arrangement from. That container. So there's that one. Those are ranunculus and a quince branch. Isn't that pretty?
It's so simple and it's so gorgeous.
Yeah. And they take time to make. I'm making it look easy, but it takes time. It's harder to make something simple than it is just to put a bunch of flowers in a vase. But they're just so peaceful to look at.